This is my friend Oliver, and this is my friend Alexander, and they build high-performance drones in their secret underground workshop basement. They've allowed me an exclusive peek into their manufacturing lines, shared stories from their projects, and took me out flying. But before I can show you any of that, I'll have to ride all the way out there. At this time of the year, the path to the workshop is stunningly beautiful, and it's a trip taking me through parks, next to old castles, some cool-ass bridge with red pavement for some reason. I get to go in the suburbs with questionable road markings, and my personal favorite are these small country roads with overhanging trees. But you didn't press this video to watch me ride my bicycle, so let's just go ahead and skip to the destination right away.
Min gode mand.
Manden,
Godt at se dig.
i lige måde.
Hallo. Frisk?
Nej.
Yeah, we need to get Oliver a cup of coffee. Alexander is already hiding downstairs in the basement, but I really want to show you the path down there, because that's just something in and of itself.
That's good. No? So this is the entrance to the cellar. And you basically just break it down into the dark abyss. Go through the armored floor into the...
I fell there last time as well.
Don't die on the step.
Watch your step.
What's your step? Yeah.
And here's always extremely hot because the restaurant above us is cooling this. That's the heat exchanger right there.
It's nice in the window.
Nice in the winter.
Then we get into the other dark hall that gets lower as you go. So watch your head.
You see that?
I was trying to turn on the flashlight, but instead I hit the stop record button. Let's try to do that in reverse. Hit the flashlight, then start recording.
And what's with all the exposed brick here?
It's a
It's a storage area.
yeah. It's also an artistic choice of ours not to do anything about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get that.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. And we have the scary bunker looking...
Yeah, we've never opened this
How
door.
to
We
say-
believe there's a beast hiding in there, but we can't neither confirm nor deny what is happening in there.
You know, guys, the evil lair that you're hiding somewhere inside of here, it's not looking good at this point. You got mold, you got...
Well,
it's maybe not
supposed
mold.
to look evil. That's the whole vibe we're going for.
yes,
So,
okay, yes.
Yeah.
I get that.
So,
right.
yeah, but please do continue.
Hello.
And
So-
at the top of the door we have some artistic graffiti. So only admittance for dirty-minded people or people with big boobs can get in.
Yep, that's us, I guess.
Shit.
Access
All right.
granted.
And you've got a safe going on here. What's this? And this, what's this? 50 centimeter wide passage?
Yeah, that's
a
where we
good
put
question.
people who do not behave properly.
Ah, yes.
Also, the key is in the safe if you want to open it.
Yep.
I
Have
mean,
we ever opened it?
Yeah, I have opened it.
What's inside?
A big disappointing nothing.
Aww. Not even like a head or
Nope,
like
nope, nothing really interesting.
anything cool related to any crime committed.
so this is like another storage room, or what do you have going on
This
here?
is the heater for all the water in the facility.
Yeah.
So very often the administrators of the facility will come down and fiddle with the heater.
Yeah.
And, so we make it as difficult as possible for them to actually access the heater unit
Yes, of
by
course.
putting cardboard boxes around it.
And that is a mega interesting story that we'll get to later. But for now, we're over 4 minutes into the video and I have not showed you anything yet.
All right, and here we have it. The entirety of the evil lair.
Yep, the drone dungeon.
That's so, we got so much going on in here. So we got some machines and workshop. Got a storage area over here, or
Yep,
Yeah, so
project boxes.
project
boxes.
boxes, old drones we've gotten donated from good friends of ours and work partners.
But really though, what is this for?
Mostly it's rapid prototyping workshop, and then weird like soldering station for soldering electronics, and 3D printers for making quick mechanical parts. We got the CNC router, and we got some extra equipment for cleaning out and working with the CNC parts. It's mostly drone design and prototyping, so we have our own internal drone projects. This is an example of that, where we have our own drone design that we've developed here. We've made the first couple prototypes here maybe, and made a couple design iterations. And then we got also projects that we do for customers.
Their customers include municipalities, law enforcement, private companies, and the defense sector, but I can't really talk about them, so here's some footage they did for a Danish rocket association.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Wow! And it's mostly, say, the first 2-3 prototypes we help make in here before it goes on to become sort of a production.
I see you have an interesting wall back in the corner over there. Can we go over there and talk about that?
In the next section here, the boys will tell me a bit more about the drones they manufacture and have used for various jobs.
All right, lads. So behind you there is a wall of drones, and they must have a lot of history. Can you tell me something about what you got going on there?
Yeah, so I guess a good place to start is in the top left corner where it all started. So we come from the sort of drone racing hobby, drone racing community. For the uninitiated, we built relatively small, compact drones that can go really, really fast, and then we put this camera on it that streams back to a pair of video goggles. So we'll see from the perspective of the drone while we're flying the drone. So it's similar to, like you get the feeling of sitting on board the drone essentially. Bit of a pod racing vibe basically. So it's the video goggles we use are pretty close to what you'd expect from like a VR goggles basically.
An important detail to note is that outside of race conditions there will actually be 2 cameras on the drone. One camera films night's footage and the other one sacrifices everything quality related in exchange for latency to allow the pilot to see what's going on in real time and react to it. I'll include only this example because I think it's loud and nauseating. And I think that's enough.
So you strap a small VR headset to your face, and then you sit with a remote control in front of the drones? Okay.
And then the camera in front of the drone will stream back to the goggles, so you'll see only what the drone sees, and that means you can very accurately maneuver the aircraft.
Yeah.
And then we design these racing courses with gates that we fly through and flags that we fly around, and then we time each lap. So it's a proper race actually.
Yeah.
And that's where we sort of got started with the whole drone business, you can say. And I guess we very soon realized that building drones that you can buy off the shelf is a lot of fun, and you can get some pretty decent flying drones out of that. But it becomes really interesting when you start to modify them and when you start to design your own drone platforms. So we quickly went from something like this, which you can buy, started modifying them, to actually designing our own racing drone platforms. So this is all of us design, and this has been used in several tournaments in the Danish drone nationals, as they're called. And a really, really high-performing racing drone that can take a beating and still go very fast.
I designed it for me, and I'm not the smoothest racer in the world, and so I tend to crash into a lot of things a lot. And what you find out when you crash some of these drones is that they tend to break. And so I made this more as a tank.
Yeah.
So it's probably a bit more heavy than like a really lightweight racer is, but then again, this will take a beating and keep flying.
Yeah. So
what makes this a racing drone?
Lightweight frame, only the electronics that you need.
This is more like a proper racing drone where you've basically removed everything unnecessary, everything that doesn't contribute to going very fast and being durable, essentially.
We have to say that the propellers are a bit of a joke, the ones that are on there.
Oh yeah, that's not racing spec, bro. These are more racing spec propellers.
And what about the shark fin on the back here? That stands out to a newbie like me.
Yeah.
Why the shark fin?
It looks very aerodynamic, but it's not for aerodynamics. It's for when you crash it and you land upside down. Then you can see that these propellers are off the ground, and then you can reverse them, and then the drone will flip itself back up.
Okay.
And then you can start again.
Yeah.
So it's only for flipping the drone that this fin is here. But let's take this one down. This one is one that's been heavily raced. I say raced. It's been flown by me into a tree at some point. You see, this one's broken. But this one has a really big crash. But otherwise, when you do crash them, they tend to just fold over like this, and then they will like semi-fall back. But the drone won't fly very well. But you are still able to fly it. It will actually, like, you won't believe it, but this will actually fly like this, and it's horrible.
Yeah, but like you can finish the race.
You can finish the race,
which is more important.
I remember an incident where Alex actually did this. Alex crashed his drone, broke some of the propellers, they were bent all out of shape, and then the drone started shaking. Like the camera lens are screwed into the camera house, and if they aren't screwed properly in, they will obviously start to shake out.
Yeah, so they go out of focus.
So you became more and more, I can't remember if it was nearsighted, the more you flew, and still managed to get it across the line and finish the race.
Yeah.
That was fairly impressive.
Yeah, but that's what it's all about, right? It's if you don't finish the race, that's still worse than getting a bad time, right?
Yes.
So,
So what about the two others there in the corner? You got one with only 3 arms, and you have one with the circles. What's going on here?
This is a relic from olden times where tricopters were still a thing that people were building. And the thing about the tricopter is, unlike the quadcopter, which has 4 motors, the tricopter needs an actuated motor in order to control the yaw movement, which is this rotation direction. Well, the rear is actually gonna counteract at least one of the yaw movements.
Yeah.
So the way to solve that is just by giving it a bit of an angle. However, that is a little bit difficult to do on, this is supposed to be like a racing tricopter.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit difficult to get this right for like high speed spaceship, basically. So unfortunately, this never got to fly very well, but it's a cool relic from the past. I would say there's very few tricopters on the market today, but this was a very, very nice looking platform that I tried to get flying. It did fly, but not very fast.
What time did you begin flying drones?
Around 2014, maybe 2015. So I worked in a hobby store that sold aircraft and cars, and that was about the time where drones became a thing that a consumer could buy, essentially. And I remember it was actually one of my colleagues who showed me this particular racing drone. I was like, oh, actually now you can build these drones with the goggles, with the video goggles, and you can race them. I was, well, blown away by that. We had a couple friends at the high school at that time who also got a bit interested in that, and we started a little bit of a club, I guess, where
we started an RC club, and we managed to secure funds from the school to buy RC equipment.
Yeah.
Then we also bought some not VR goggles, but the FPV goggles and the camera. We taped those two things together, and my friend here, he was hooked.
It's the closest feeling you can get to flying yourself, right? You're sitting there with the video goggles, and you see from only the drone's perspective, so you really get the feeling of flight, and that really got me hooked.
I think the best description of the feeling of flying these drones is, if you ever watch Star Wars, the whole pod racing scene is like flying these things.
Yeah.
Kind of the same feeling.
Yes.
For the untrained eye like me, most of the drones up to the upper left here, they look the same.
Yeah.
But this one has circles. Why circles?
So the circles is so when you fly into somebody, you don't blend them with the 4-blender flying machine.
Which is a great selling proposition, I might add here in post, if you, for example as in the demo here, are flying in a showroom with a lot of delicate material that you don't want to damage.
They also do provide some extra efficiency to lift. These only provide efficiency at lift at very high throttle or something like that.
So the reason we started building these, and this one in particular was because we started getting some cool drone jobs where we would go out and fly these inside buildings, close to objects, close to people, and making sort of video production. And when you fly close to people, again, it's very nice to stay safe and not blend them. And especially we had one job where we had to fly very close to some very, very expensive cars. And it was very important to us that we did not risk damaging these cars. So adding these and adding some nice rubber feet so that if it fell down on top of a car, for example, would not damage the car was really important to getting that job done. So, and this all plays into this whole rapid prototyping, making drones for very specific use cases that we do here. There wasn't really any good products on the market to help us solve this, so we just had to make it ourselves.
So tell me about some of the production setup, because the stories that you've told right now, they're great. This is finished products, but how do you make this? You mentioned that you bought the first frame over there from a store, and the other ones are your own designs. This looks suspiciously like carbon fiber to me.
That is very true.
It is very suspiciously carbon fiber.
Yeah, so these are both examples of frames that we've bought off the shelf, basically. This is an example of one we've made ourselves. And this carbon is something that we buy the carbon sheets in a certain size and thickness, and then we route it out with a CNC router, which we have here in the dungeon. So so this one is actually cut on a machine like this. It looks a little bit messy now, and that is because we cut these carbon fiber sheets, and the particles generated from the carbon fiber is not very good for your lungs. So what we do when we cut it is we fill this up with water, and then we cut inside the water so all the particles are trapped, and then we can sort of store it in these
So you have like this is just like ballast tanks for wastewater?
Yeah,
or?
exactly. So and then we drive this to the waste facility, to the waste plant.
And I mean, this machine is actually one of the reasons that Rotoworks got started.
So I remember we went to high school together, and we lived together on uni as well. We didn't study the same things, but I remember you had this in your dorm room, right?
Yeah, so Alex and I, we've been talking about, couldn't it be cool making our own drones? And my father passed away with cancer, and I got some money off of that. Let's buy a router. And so we bought this thing. And so it stood in my dorm room whilst it was cutting carbon fiber out. And I remember we had like noise tests where I would like ask my neighbors, like, can you actually hear it? It's like, I mean, it's a faint little noise, but not really.
That's a true story, by the way. I found some old footage on a demo we once did when we lived together in our dormitory, and you can see the CNC router on the table here to the left. This demo is also a great showcase of how a lucky student gets to live in a high-end dorm in Denmark.
So I would sit at my desk designing drones, shoving them onto USB sticks, putting them on my old laptop that I actually had from uni. Oh wow, with all the stickers on, and it's still here, and it runs the it still runs.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, there's an amber light blinking there. I see some of the things are missing. Oh, we got lights. So
this is the best laptop I have ever owned.
And then 3 minutes passes while we wait for all of us antiquated laptop to power on.
So tell me about this. So this is a CNC software that will programmatically control the milling head, the drilling head.
The CNC will interpret the G-code that the computer sends to it. So if the computer shuts down, then this stops working. So what you have to do to make some of the parts is that you have to design the part, then you have to go in and you have to make a cam profile. And then when you've made your cam profile, you plug it into the computer, you zero the machine out, and then you pray that you actually got your values right and don't break the bits.
Yeah. All these bits here have been routed out with the drill bit essentially on the CNC router. Yeah.
So it'll sit here and the machine will come up and drill into the part.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
to make it cool.
And then this is some of the bits that it uses. The black ones are these like diamond coated carbon fiber special bits. And if you don't use these, you will get through half a pot and then your bit is dull. It just breaks.
Yeah, so the thing about cutting carbon fiber is it's a bit hazardous if you don't do it in the water. And also it's very, very abrasive to the tool head that you're using. So these metal tools, they're usually made of some kind of high-speed steel. They will be very worn very, very quickly. So we go through a lot of these bits for all of these carbon parts that we
I've had experiences where we've like, you can see this is a part of a plate once this big.
Yeah.
And this is all arms that has been cut for drones. And I think one set of arms would take one bit, and then you would change the bit out and then cut the next line.
Yeah.
So you would change the bit for every set of arms. Oh yeah, so these are some ones that have gone wrong. You can see there's like a mouse that's bitten out of those. This one's gone pretty well. Looks nice. But yeah, this one, I can't remember what happened. Something happened. So this is a rinsing cabinet. So when you've taken your parts out very gingerly, you can put them in here. And then we'd have like a mixture of water and soap that runs. And then you would have this to run out the water. You have a brush off all the carbon dust. And then...
And that's just because when the piece is done from CNCing, it'll be filled with carbon dust?
Yeah, it's just dirty.
Okay.
This is basically just to wash them off.
Okay, okay.
And then after you've done that, you dry them off with some paper towels, and then you fill the paper towels.
It's also a bit of finishing, right? Because there's a risk that it cuts, that it gets loose from the sheet and then actually moves around in the CNC machine. So what you do is you actually leave a little bit of material, we call them tabs. So the part is stuck to the sheet still. Then you take the sheet out and then you cut away the tab, and then you cut free the part from the sheet essentially. And we usually do that over here with this hand tool basically.
Yeah, so we use this Dremel tool to file off some of these tabs. You can actually see one of them here.
Yeah, that's a tab.
It's this little thing that pokes out. That's a tab.
That's a tab.
That's a tab.
So this is a part of the old sheet.
Arm.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the sheet basically that is not a part. It's not part of the drone arm. So we'll cut that away or file it away. Yeah.
Very cool.
So this is my dabble into 3D printing with resins. That didn't go so well for me. I get the resin basically everywhere. And it's toxic and cancerous and whatnot. And I never get to get the stuff or the resin prints. I never got them out correct. And so at one point I just gave up. And the reason I bought it was because I looked at it at one point and thought, they've gotten really cheap. The reason you want a resin printer is that it has a lot higher fidelity in some parts. So we were once asked to make something like 3-axis gimbals.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be a really good idea to use a resin printer for that, because you can actually get some resins that are fairly tough and you can get some really nice looking things out of it. Yeah. But I never could get it to work right.
And the one to the left of the resin printer, is that an FDM printer?
Yeah, exactly. This is a classic FDM 3D printer. This particular one is undergoing some troubleshooting, but we also have one in this enclosure that's running, and that's the
original printer that we got for Rotoworks.
Yeah, exactly. So this we've had for many, many years. This is a slightly newer generation of those, but these are Prusa Mark III and Mark IV. And those are sort of, our workhorses, you can say, 3D printers, because they are generally very, very reliable. 3D printer for us should be a tool, not a project in itself. Right?
Okay.
So, and that's also actually been the philosophy with the CNC. We didn't want a project, we wanted a tool to print projects or make projects with.
Yeah.
The left printer is in what I assume is a grow tent.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Yeah, so a lot of the materials we use are quite sensitive to the environment they're printed in. Yeah. So there's this phenomenon called warping, where the material will deform due to changes in temperature. So if you can keep the temperature around the part more steady, then the part will actually turn out much better. So the grow tent keeps the heat consistent, quite a bit more consistent. Yeah. So there's less fluctuations in the temperature.
And it's also nice if you're printing materials that are a bit more smelly or a bit more hazardous.
Yeah,
I've made this whole like
ventilation.
Oh yeah, there's a
system.
huge fume extractor. Tell me about that, because that runs for the entirety of the workshop here. We'll get to the workshop later, but...
Yeah, so, I mean, one thing that we knew we were going to be doing down here is we were going to be soldering. Oh.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get the solder out. And so that was one reason to put this up, was to extract the solder, and it basically just extracts it outside.
There's no natural ventilation here, right?
Yeah.
We needed to build that into the room.
And when we
And
first...
solder fumes are toxic, right?
Yes.
Poisonous.
There's
toxic.
a lot of good arguments for ventilators. So.
My man.
Yep.
And also when we first got down here, it was very dusty.
Oh yeah.
And so that was another
yeah.
reason to add ventilation, was also just to add, to get like fresh air in.
Yeah.
Because it was very stagnant. And so yeah, so that's why it runs everywhere basically, at least along this wall, because it's where we do all of the, I guess, fume
generating activities.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's why it's here.
Yeah.
So this is the organized storage over here. And you got the working storage there, and there, and there, and
then
there,
there's,
and
deep storage
here
on
as
the
well.
floor.
Deep storage.
Deep
Exactly.
I was gonna call it unorganized storage, but deep storage.
This is, well, there's deep storage, and then there's deeper storage.
Oh, there's deeper. There's
Yeah,
another
there are
level.
levels.
There's like
There's a
whole
level.
other layers to
We
this.
gotta go in there.
I think,
Oh no, that's mental.
yeah, so, oh yeah, actually, you know what? Let's talk about this.
Don't know what. So that looks suspiciously like an RC car and
It is.
not a drone.
It is very unsuspiciously an RC car, and it's my old RC car, actually.
The next clip happens all the time when you're having fun with your old mates. You get distracted by toys and stories about toys.
And is this what got you into the hobby?
Yeah, it was.
And well, with the line of
the
work.
RC hobby, yeah, this was actually what got me into it in the beginning. And so this is my old trophy truggy thing, and I think actually this is one of the first things that I've ever 3D printed.
Really?
I think it's one of the first.
Nice.
It's an ABS. It
Oh
was
yes.
printed on the MakerBot Replicator 2X on our high school, and it was designed in
Synchro Cannon.
SketchUp,
SketchUp.
where you had to get a plug-in to get the part out and get it sliced. And
Good old.
So this is what got me started into the whole RC thing. And then Alex for years tried to convince me that drones were the shit. And I was like, yeah, shut up.
It took some convincing actually. We
and
got
then-
really deep into the RC car scene, and then when I started with the drones, Oliver was a bit hesitant in the beginning.
I mean, I'd already spent all the money on this big stupid thing.
Yeah, but you can always spend more money on something new, right?
Yeah.
But even though you're a bit hesitant, you now have an evil lair in the basement of a restaurant, apparently.
That is how it goes.
So we didn't talk about the other RC car that's on the wall, but I mean it was a school project, and we had it was like we had to do like robot-y things and whatnot.
Robot-y things.
Yeah, and so this is what we made, my friend and I. So we made this like 4-wheel steering, in-hub RC car for a school project.
Once again, using things from the parts bin, right? So
Yes,
the
exactly.
motors
So the
are actually
motors-
meant for drones.
Yes.
These are drone motors,
And
that
they
were
were-
repurposed.
Yeah, and they were from an old project that you had made, which is like a Y Hexacopter Y thing.
Yeah.
And that died immediately when you tried to fly it.
Well, that's a bit hard put, but
Was it wrong?
no, it's true.
Yeah.
I almost died. I tried to fly it in my dorm room. That was such a bad idea.
And but yeah, and so this is 4-wheel steering, and when it does take a corner, it also adjusts the amount of thrust. I say thrust. I guess acceleration.
Yeah.
On the different wheels, so it also has what is that? Torque vectoring.
Torque vector.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Take a bite out of that word, torque vectoring. And so yeah, so I thought that was a neat little fun project.
The weather was incredibly nice for an early October day here in Denmark, so we took a small break from the interview and showcase to first make fun of Alex, then we went outside and flew around with the drones a bit. And while out there, I had one question that kept popping up in my head. How do you go from making drones in your free time to suddenly owning a fully functional multi-purpose rapid prototyping workshop?
Well, at some point we realized that we have a lot of fun building drones, and we mainly started the company to help fund our own hobby,
Addiction.
but or addiction, however you want to call it. But we sort of quickly realized that actually this was quite an interesting field that was growing quite rapidly. So drones in general was on the rise at that time. It still kind of is. So we realized there's actually other people working in this field who have less experience maybe than we have, that needs our help or could use our help. And then we started doing sort of some of these consultancy jobs where we would help develop designs for drones, or help do these small rapid prototyping projects where we would help cut some carbon fiber parts on our CNC machine for drones or whatever, something like that. Yeah, and yeah, we managed to make a little bit of money off of that. And at some point we were like, okay, we're funding our hobby now, and we're actually generating a little bit of income. So how about we try and pay ourselves some salary? And we have had some periods where we've been able to do that because we'd have like larger projects together, and we would generate enough profit to actually pay a salary. So yeah,
and it's a bit unpredictable if you get like anybody in the door that wants something from us, or can actually gain something from us. And so sometimes you spend time on leads and then they don't lead to anywhere, and then you don't have any money that month, so you get to stop to pay yourself salary instead of, and you get to pay yourself parts for the company.
But I mean, we've always had jobs, like daily jobs on the side, right? So this has always been like a passion project for us, like a side project. And then if it happened to generate a bit of extra income, very nice, but it was not strictly necessary for us, right?
I also think we should probably touch on one of the things that we talked about when we started the company, and that was, if a job doesn't pay well necessarily, but it gives an amazing experience, we take that job anyway, because like, why not? And it has given us some of the most interesting trips that we've gone on so far.
Yeah, we've had some really fun jobs, where there's one where we were invited to do drone video of a castle in France.
And yes, you've seen some of that footage in this video before. Here's some more of it.
So we got like a weekend on a castle in France, and it wasn't very well paid, but
no,
hey, we got a weekend on a castle in France. Yeah, it was really cool, right? So
I mean, it paid for all the travel expenses.
Yeah, sure did.
We netted a big fat zero at the end. It was not a minus, but we didn't gain any money from it. But we did gain a fantastic experience.
And that was the whole point of starting this company, right? We wanted some interesting experiences. We wanted to learn about the things we're doing here. So drone design, rapid prototyping, we wanted to learn more about it, have a platform to learn from it, and get some cool experiences. And it was never really about making a living. It was about making experiences and memories. And I dare say we achieved that. Yeah.
I want to ask them about their other customers, but before that, an important intermission.
It is Wednesday, my loose.
Yeah, so it just so happens that actually other drone companies, as I mentioned, who maybe did not have so much experience in the mechanical design of drones, maybe they were focusing on other parts of that whole development cycle, or did not have the equipment to do this rapid prototyping that we have the equipment to do. They would approach us sometimes through, we're members of this organizations, there's like a cluster for drone and robots companies in Denmark, so they would sort of matchmake us with other companies that may have some needs that we could fulfill. So yeah, typically other drone or robot companies. And then there's been all these drone operations jobs, so where we've been the drone operator, and it's not been a design task, but we've actually gone out and flown a drone to collect some data or make a video production or something like that. And we've had customers from so many weird places, like.
And then they spend a few minutes talking about sensitive customers that I can't share either video or audio from.
But a lot of the engineering jobs we've had, or development projects, that has been other drone companies, basically.
Yeah.
I also asked them how they acquired the basement workshop to begin with. It's a long story, but once upon a time they were at an unrelated meeting at the local municipality.
And I think the average age of people attending this network meeting,
40.
probably 40 something, maybe 50. So we kind of stood out as 2-3 young guys attending this event. So everyone kind of wanted to speak with us. I'm like, what are you guys doing here? And when we sort of told them about the kind of company we were running, like doing drone design and building with 3D printers and CNC routing, building cool things, people were a little bit blown away, I think, because that was not the kind of business that we're used to seeing. They're used to seeing like shop owners like down on the main street selling clothes or whatever.
And then they came up to us like what do you actually need to grow?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need to grow? And I think we looked at each other like, well, we have a CNC router in our dorm room. We're printing the things and like, we're making do with what we have. And we just like, we need more space. We need another space that's not an apartment or whatever. And so we said, oh, well, we need a space for like 3D printers and CNCs and doing solder work and this and that. And so I can't remember if it was a lady or not, but she's like, give me a second, I'll just talk to somebody.
I know a guy. And,
she went off, and then we drank some of their nice alcohol that they had, and all of a sudden she came back and it's like, oh yeah, I have this guy, he has like this cellar. I was like, cellar, that's a good. We saw some of the pictures, like, oh no.
And then you moved in.
I mean, rent's free. It was free. No, it's not free, but it's still very cheap.
Yeah, they were really nice. Like, they're like, okay, we can see that you have no money. You're just getting started with this.
Yeah.
We'd like to support what you're doing here. You are welcome to use this space for a while, free of charge. And that is when we got started, and we moved in here. We checked that the weird black stuff on the wall was not mold, but something
else,
non-hazardous.
Something not mold.
Apparently not mold. That's very good. So we checked it for like obvious health hazards.
Yeah,
no problem. It just looks a bit worn because I don't know. This building is hundreds of years old.
The wall over here is like still disintegrating, and it's like I can see more and more stuff like getting off. I think the first thing we did when I went in here, that was to take a broom. And then I start brooming the walls, and then they would just basically crumple onto the floor. And I just try to broom them as much as possible to get like all the big stuff off, and then vacuumed it up, and then said to everybody that you probably shouldn't have things like directly up against the wall.
Yeah.
And now we have all of our nice drums up against the wall.
Yeah. What kind of educations do you guys have? What do you?
Mechanical engineer. So we studied at. I studied at the Technical University of Denmark, which was right next to your education.
And I'm a Master of Machines, or that's the very gross direct translation from Danish to English, which is Maskinmester in Danish, and in the proper speak, I think it's a bachelor's in technology management and maritime engineering, or Master of Machines, which is a lot cooler in my mind.
So you're great at milling and.
Yeah, I will tell Alexander that you probably should put a hole here on the side so you can get the screwdriver into the screw behind the wall.
Yeah. Roughly speaking, I'm very good at designing things. Oliver's really good at making things, and there always needs to be a dialogue between those two parts, because I can make a lot of very cool designs that are impossible to manufacture or assemble or what.
Actually, a good thing to talk about that is actually this. This is one of our joint ventures in the end.
The ducts?
Yeah, the ducts. So the general, like the aerodynamic shape of this duct is Alexander's work. He put a lot of work into finding this shape. It's the aerodynamic shape, right? Everything else is to get the shape onto the drone, which I personally did.
Yeah, so all the cutouts you've made, which of course ruins the aerodynamic, slightly reduces the aerodynamic efficiency, is to do with the practicality of putting this on a drone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can make some very nice, round, pretty aesthetic shapes, but if they can't be put to use, then why bother?
So Alex does do a lot of pretty CAD work, extremely nice stuff.
Yeah, it's so funny. We use the same software, right, to design the parts, and sometimes we'll edit the same parts within the sort of the assemblings, and you can tell who have made which parts or which features on the parts.
The guy who actually has an education in using CAD work, and then the guy who's learned from all the Indians on YouTube how to use CAD work. There's a big difference.
Yeah. That's what makes us a great team, right? We have a very similar understanding of how things work. Like we come from a similar background, similar enough anyways, that we can see some of the same potential issues in a design, or we can understand which direction we need to go in with a given project. But we have very different approaches then to how to achieve that. And that can really be helpful, right? That we have these different approaches. So actually if we encounter any kind of issues, we always have different perspectives on how to solve it. And that's really valuable, because then we usually get to a really good solution in the end.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the reasons I'm really good, I say really good at making things, one of the reasons I am that is I've spent a couple of years now in a proper workshop, metal workshop, turning, milling, welding, making things, welding things together, finding out that was not the correct way, cursing yourself for not making it the right way, and then finding out that this is a really good way. There's a really bad way of putting things together, and there's a really good way of putting them together.
I was going to say, you're the most talented machinists that I know.
Yeah, and I'm not even that talented when you get to know machinists, so I'm very thankful that you say that.
This is a humble guy.
I promised you an interesting fact about the storage loading area in front of the workshop. You'll get that now.
And what's the slidey thingamajig here?
So
That's
this
for
used to be
beer
storage. Yeah, this used to be storage for all the beers, I guess, that the restaurant was serving. So they would slide the beer cases down from the street. So that's the street level up there. Would slide them down and then store them here. And actually, there it is. This
is the old piston that would function as a lift for bringing the beers up into
to the kitchen.
To the kitchen.
Yeah. So it will lift up the beer cases into the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah, the kitchen is right up there. So
Right
up
above
there.
us.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you come over here, you can see the hole in the roof where they would take it up.
Yeah.
And that's the hole in the roof there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the restaurant floor going on.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Wrapping things up, I have a single question left for the guys.
You started a hobby while in high school. And while studying at university, you founded a company. That company has now spawned an Evil Lair workshop where you spend a lot of time together as friends and make a lot of cool projects. And then those cool projects have now generated jobs for both of you in the very field that you started off in as a hobby.
Yeah, more or
I
less.
guess, yeah.
That sounds like the dream.
Yeah.
I don't complain. I'm pretty happy with it, actually.
Do you want to go full time?
It depends on the opportunities that we can get and the amount of salary as well. Because we do, but that's true. It is very much dependent on the amount of salary as well, right? Because we do want to move out of small apartments that we have, and we do want to move into.
We're becoming adults, right?
Yeah, and so becoming adults also starting to require adult money.
Yeah.
So if you need any help in all areas related to product design, rapid prototyping, complicated manufacturing or operation of drones, I highly encourage you to go check out Alex and Oliver's company, Rotoworks. I've put the link to their homepage in the video description.
Der var en landing.
Thank you for not just watching this video, but also all of the other videos I put out. I just passed 1,000 subscribers, and to think that not just 100 of you want to spend time watching my stuff, but 1,000 of you, that's absolutely humbling, and I'm so happy to have you. I wish you an absolutely wonderful day. Have a good one.